Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this Cinco de Mayo, 5th day of May here on a Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I've got Carlos Bad New Yorker Chavez backstage. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs, the Dylan Brooks saga, little draft recap and everything. We'll go ahead and get our first and only break out of the way, and we'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Back here live. Hey, Carlos, how you doing, man?
Yo, what's up? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Chief. I tell you, it's a good Friday. You know, very busy here in the Nashville area.
All them concerts, buddy.
Oh, you already know. I didn't have to
Taylor
say
Swift, Dave Chappelle. Everybody is going crazy over there.
Yeah, it's almost too much, and traffic's crazy.
Come on, man. You know I'm in the know. Why are you going to ask me?
You are in the know, my friend. Now, we also have a lot of really good playoffs coming up this weekend.
Wait. They said that Levis is coming to town to check it out.
Really? You know, he did put something on Twitter, I'm home now, and he tweeted out all the jerseys, the Nashville soccer team, the Predators. He put his jersey down for the Titans. I think he's going to be a pretty good that's a good starting point. What's your thoughts now that the Titans, I do like that running back they got out in the third round. What's your thoughts on their draft now that it's played out?
Let's talk NFL draft. And what we'll talk is like the top three and then the bottom three. And then we'll leave it at
just
that.
Whoever. I mean, just your thoughts overall. We don't have to get into the 7th round pick, but
no. So I feel like the Titans did a good job. We talked about it. They picked a center. They got a couple O-line help. They did. They got a few defensive players. The Levis pickup. Let me just preface this. They have a quarterback now that didn't want to bring up Malik when he came in last season, right?
Yeah.
So I think we need to understand this. There's no quarterback who's a starter who wants to help out somebody who's going to precede them. That just don't happen. It'll happen to where they have to be in the same QB room and work together. That's different than bringing somebody up and teaching them and showing them the ropes. It's just two different things. And it's a mindset that you set up. Your predecessor and your coaching staff sets up if you're going to, if you're going to come back and back somebody up, or if you're going to come in and take their place, right? So at the end of the day, you don't want nobody taking your job. It doesn't matter who you are and what position you do in life and in any job. So this is the NFL. And being a backup can mean tens of millions of dollars, right? So you don't want to be that. You know what I'm saying? So this whole Levis deal with Tannehill, Tannehill already got paid, and Levis is looking to get paid. What the Titans need to do is just not say nothing and just let Tannehill do what he does, because he's either going to have a good season or a bad season.
Right.
He's never been a consistent quarterback. So, just leave it, and you're already paying him. Don't give him nothing that, show the kid this. Don't say nothing about it.
I don't think that's the plan. I think that, like you said, Tannehill already knows the situation. He's
Right.
already got his $30 million last year.
Mhm.
They're going to be paying $30 million this year. I think they probably keep Tannehill. I don't think they move him. There was some reports earlier this week that maybe he gets moved even for next year, but maybe to Atlanta. But I don't see that. Do you?
No, and that's a big, heavy contract to take upon on the roster, and we even saw that one of the reasons why Lamar got signed again, because nobody was going to touch that contract, and plus his team have put themselves out of the running and in a bad situation anyway to get shopped. So those are a couple of different things going on in Baltimore. But as far as the Titans, just you got your draft picks.
Yeah,
you're starting to get a couple more free agents before the season starts. Just don't be like the Jets. Don't stay out of the news. Run your offense that's probably Derrick Henry heavy. Run your defense, and you're gonna be okay. The Titans right now, I feel like, are in the top 5 in the AFC. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a hot take.
Yeah, no, and I think if they just finish games out and score the 27, 30 points that they need to score to beat these teams, they're going to be in the mix again. Titan fans, don't worry. Don't fret. Your team's always in the running.
They could still be in the Super Bowl hunt.
Yeah, they have an opportunity. And the Titans have and I'm going to say this not because I don't like my New York teams, man. It's just they have a way better chance and opportunity of being in the playoffs, going to the Super Bowl, than the Jets and the Giants right now, having to prove that they're teams that should be in a playoff or in the Super Bowl. So Giants, AFC South region, AFC East, AFC, all those, the Titans will be in the mix. Just relax, Titan fans. Let's let it happen. And you got great coaching as far as where you're at. You got a GM that is in line with your coach, and you got an owner who's willing to bend over and let your GM and coach work this team out and the kinks out. They went from being very old to being very young to now being better balanced this season. So just pump the brakes, and just get excited. You're gonna have a good season. So I'm telling you now, I am envious of what the Titans have been doing the last 10 years compared to what the Jets and the Giants been doing forever. So
right. I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you. I got their draft picks here, man. This Tajay Spears, he's a running back out of Tulane. This one, me and you got off the phone. Got off the phone. We got out of the program this time last week. This 3rd round pick from Tulane. He had 200 yards against USC in the bowl game.
Right.
He's a little bit like Darren Sproles. He's a little bigger than Sproles.
Right.
It's hard to find somebody to compare him to. Maybe Matt Forte, perhaps. It's a 3rd round pick. I like that pickup, man. Getting Sonorski, not to beat that head horse. That guard, left tackle, that guy's going to be huge. They picked up another tackle in the 6th round.
Did a better job than the Buffalo Bills picking a tight end in the 1st round. Let me tell you, especially.
Well, Sonorski, I didn't think he was going to be there at 11. I thought he was going to go with like maybe top 5.
When I saw the Bills pick up that tight end, I'm like, of all the positions you want to fill to support, like the fact that your running game is terrible, your defense can't close games, you picked up a tight end. I don't know, and I don't understand. Right now, the NFL rankings have them at number 5 under the Bengals. They don't belong in number 5. To me, you haven't proven that you should be in the playoffs in the last 4 seasons. So you should be like in the bottom. You should be in the top 10, but you shouldn't be in the middle. You should be in the bottom.
That's funny. I just got off Spitballing Sports about an hour ago with John Restano, and he had another guy on there. I think his name was Scotty. And we were talking about the Bills. And I like that pick. And I said, I'm okay with that tight end. But my thing is, Sean McDermott, they need a Gary Kubiak type of guy to get that running game going the way he brought it to that Denver team with Mike Shanahan. And then when he became the head coach several years later with Peyton Manning, and they eventually won the Super Bowl here. So the issue isn't the draft, it's the coach and the scheme. I like Josh Allen. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, and it's again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse as well, like but the Bills are circling around being average. They're not.
Yes.
They haven't gone up and made any moves to make me as a football fan and a sports fan, because I'm not a Bills fan at all, anyways. But just like what are you doing to your team? Like this make the Bills and San Francisco are like the same team.
Oh wow!
Right, because you getting the only difference is that San Francisco actually scores 27 plus points a game. That's the difference, right? They can actually score. They have a better balance, but again, when it comes to closing out games, they just fall short, right? So and I don't know if that's a coaching thing and a motivational thing. Like the Bills have made moves to try to be better as far as having athletes and having football players on their team. Right. Yeah. But the schemes just don't seem to match up what the players are putting out. So
and it's unfortunate because they got such a talented quarterback, man.
And then again, but you can't. Your quarterback should help you win games. You shouldn't be dependent on your quarterback to have to win games. Right. Right. Remember, and I don't know if maybe that's a philosophy I have because of in our era growing up, we saw a lot of 80s through 2000 90s. Football. So so we saw that every season, no matter when it was, and there was either a draft or the end of the season or Super Bowl, defense wins the game. That's all we ever heard, right? And you got to run the ball to run the time, and control the clock, right?
Well, you still had to convert third down even in our day,
right. So, but like those teams that were good scored points. Yeah, even though they control the clock, they score points, right? Jimmy Johnson's Dallas Cowboys, Alvin Harper, Novacek, Emmitt Smith, all those guys, they find in the end zone. They're finding the end zone, 21, 27 plus points, right? So these teams scored to win games. And if they had to come back, they could possibly do it. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice,
right. Taylor. Well, Pittsburgh didn't win post Bradshaw till they had another quarterback to help them score more points than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and again, Hines was doing stuff. They used him as a utility player, but again, he was getting his catches. Yeah, they had the bus controlling the clock and making those runs. Like these offensive players, and what I'm saying is that the Buffalo Bills don't have that. They don't. You go name 4 players on the offense that's going to score points besides the quarterback.
Well, it's scheme. I do think that this guy's going to be a good tight end. That I think Diggs is a decent number 1 receiver, and you got the quarterback, but at some point you got to have the right scheme and consistently run the ball. They cannot consistently run the ball.
You know what I see the Bills as, kind of, if you want to compare in our era, was Randall Cunningham's Eagles. Remember?
Oh, wow. They was going way back. Yeah.
They were very They had a great defense. They had a couple guys on offense, Irvin Fryer. They had what's this guy running the ball? Even as late as getting I can't remember his name. That he ended up going to San Francisco. He came out of Notre Dame. What's his name?
Oh, really?
I can't remember his name. But running back though. So they had tried to put Randall Cunningham.
Ricky Waters.
Yeah, even going to Ricky Waters, like right before Ricky Waters era, right? They even had they had a lot of players in and out, but what they try to do, run Randall Cunningham, make sure that he got make sure he got the first down, make sure that he tried to throw that little in routes and try to get touchdowns, and it didn't work out for him, right? Because at the end of the day, your running back, your quarterback can't be a running back. He can't. He's got to be able to
their own defense. Yeah,
what I'm saying.
They did have Chris Carter on that 88 team.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm looking at their roster. You got me, Keith Jackson.
Great. But again, if you compare them to Buffalo, you have 1 or 2 players on the offense that were all pro, getting all these stats. But again, they couldn't score enough, and the defense just wasn't able to maintain. Right, bend don't break. It just didn't happen, man. You got to score. You have to score.
Well, you just got to have balance. We got to have balance in life. You got to have balance on your football team.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday on the program. where you can't be. The last time the team that led the nation, the league in rushing was the 1985 Bears that actually won the Super Bowl. Okay.
And they didn't even use Walter Payton at the end. They used Refrigerator Perry to score.
But my point was, for example, what about the other extreme? The last time a team led the league in passing yards, you think about the
Rams?
No, the Bucks a few years ago. The Bucks a few years ago, they got put out early. You could tell. I want to say it was the Rams in '99. That's true. So we're talking over 25 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have balance, man.
Yeah, and that's and you know, I dislike talking about the Shanahan system, but the more teams use that system, the more it's easier to defend. The less scoring opportunities you have.
Yeah,
that's just reality, you know. So, and the problem with that scoring system is that and that's with any system, but if you don't have your top players running that system, you're not going to score any points.
Yeah,
which is this is kind of what happened with San Francisco. They got lucky. Purdy was there and didn't really have to do much because their players around him stepped up so much.
Right.
For Purdy to just sit there. Now Purdy I'm not going to take no credit for him. He had enough.
So what? Yeah, that was a model I brought up yesterday, or maybe the day before. What about a model where you simply just keep a quarterback for 4 years and keep a dominant team around him, rather than paying guys like Daniel Jones a big bunch of money and matching his money close to Patrick Mahomes when he's not a Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. So the biggest problem the NFL
what's your thought with that school of thought? You know, considering the shortage of really good quarterbacks.
Yeah. So, but the problem becomes the GM and ownership thinking that they're going to find a Peyton Manning, they're going to find a Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's true, right?
And that's the problem, right? Because look at Levis fell because they're like, oh well, he has not in his past records, he's had thrown more interception than he's has touchdowns. So what is he going to do in the NFL? The analytics show that he might actually be the same type of quarterback in any system and be the same and do the same thing. So there's nothing that there's no surefire answer to finding a quarterback that fits your team and you're going to be a winner. That doesn't happen. But what can happen is that you give your confidence and you show your quarterback what they need to do, and you have them surrounded by players who are willing to do more than their capacity says, such as the 49ers had done last year for Purdy. But when your players don't step up like that, then what happens is it shows the incapabilities of what a quarterback on your team and not being able to run it shows. A good example, the Giants, right? Daniel Jones's capacity and what he was able to do last year had it not been for Saquon coming back and doing more than he was expected to do, the Giants wouldn't have been in a situation where they are. And this is why they want to bring him back. But again, just because he did that last year, I don't think it's something that they'd be able to do if he came back this year and play on the same level. Because now everybody knows how important Saquon is to the Giants, right?
Right. So here's Levis's stats for the last 2 years. He was 13 and 21. He had a better team around. This is what Keith Engel. He's pro Levis, and I'm okay. I'm neutral. I'm Switzerland on Levis because I don't know yet. But I don't think they mortgaged the farm to get the guy. Here's his stats. In 21, when he had a better team around him, 24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. His completion percentage was 66. That's good for the NFL. Last year, when people said he had a bad year, and I saw some of those bad games, 65% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's not horrible.
Mm-mm.
But, he had a toe problem, plus their offensive line was pretty banged up there towards the end, from what I understand.
And look, I'm not going to bang on Eli Manning because that's my quarterback. That's the guy that we had. But he had seasons like that.
He had some rough outings at Ole Miss.
And even for the Giants, mind you, there might have been 2 seasons that the Giants got a Super Bowl. But the whole time he was in New York, that some of those seasons were dreadful. After the Super Bowl, and before the Super Bowl, so I can't sit here and be like, and on the high horse and be like, talk about the quarterback, because there were years where he lost a big game or he threw ducks, right? So
Right.
Listen, we can't sit here and because we saw what we saw in Tom Brady, expect that our next quarterback for whatever team you root for is going to be Tom Brady. So we have to kind of, and I said this before on the Sunday show. Maybe I mentioned it here, but we can't expect Peyton Manning and Tom Brady people. We don't do that. Let these people, let these guys be who they are, and let them do what they have to do, right? And let them, and let them find their way. Will Levis he's on a good team. He has opportunity to follow.
So do you like the draft? I think it's the best draft they've had in years, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's just a draft. I like that they built depth. I like that they got a quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe Will Levis could be good, but I mean, they're already throwing he's similar to Rodgers and this and that. Believe pump brakes.
Wow. I'm hearing bad stuff, but some people are saying Cutler, but Cutler won games though. Cutler got the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, look,
that's not too bad of an insult, really.
No, not like had Cutler played in the 80s, he'd probably be one of the best quarterbacks in his era.
Yeah. And remember, he got diabetes in his pro career. He got diabetes around 26, 27. So maybe that had some effect on his play too.
And Cutler was in a situation he had a well-balanced team that he played for like 3 years in a row in Chicago with great defense, great special teams, and only problem that he had is that he just didn't want to let go of the ball. It's not that he didn't have the arm strength. He just didn't, he wanted the perfect pass.
Yeah.
And
he had too much faith in his arm. That was my big knock on him. Yeah.
So, but listen, these guys come in. We're gonna see this year. We're gonna see Love play for the first time in 5 years, more than three times in the season. So, expectations sometimes are way too high, and I think we just got to be realists, man. Just let these guys do what they can, and they're all human. They just have incredible talent, and let's not stop with the comparisons.
What do you think about them just signing him to a 1-year contract with $7 million less? I don't know if I asked you that last week or not. I can't remember. But Jordan Love, they signed him for like a 1 year. Instead of getting him his 5th year option, they gave him like a $14 million. They got him for this year and next year, and that's it.
Right. I mean,
they're like really trying to save money, if you ask me. But
Green Bay,
they're not really sure on the guy.
Green Bay is one of those places that they try to cut corners every which way they can.
Right.
Because they're
the 401ks. What Colin Cowherd says.
They had invested so much and trying to keep those players intact on our defense, and then also before Aaron Rodgers left, all those players who were able to run the ball and things like that. So, I mean, that's Green Bay for you,
That's what I'm saying. Worst case, just go back to the well a few years from now. I just wouldn't be held hostage by a quarterback, man.
No, again, every year depends on the GM, depends on the team. I really thought that New Orleans would have been one of those teams and be like, let me get up to the top, let me get somebody, and they held true to what their plan is, and what their plan is just getting younger.
Except for the quarterback, they went veteran quarterback.
But
Derek Carr.
They know that they know who he is, and they know to surround him with younger players, because that's a more benefit than to have an older wide receiver for instance. Now they're getting their wide out back. I don't know what they're going to expect out of him. Out of Thomas. Yeah. He might have 3 good games and be out for the year again this year. Who knows?
That's true.
But that's true. I don't think he's ever played 3 seasons in a row.
What was funny, going back to the draft here, you followed both of the New York teams, okay? And I noticed that both of the New York teams took a center in the 2nd round.
I don't know if they've been listening to me. And remember what I told you when I said was New York teams would do better. It would it would make them a better team if they would have traded their first pick to get more depth in what they needed, right? And when they made these trades and some of these teams made these moves, I was like, no, okay. No, because I'm not.
It tells you that you're watching a lot of the games. You're doing shows like mine, and you're starting to look at it like me, like a general manager perspective, and you're saying, wait a minute, not everything has to be a sexy wide receiver or a big time running back. You got to have the guys up front making that stuff happen, man.
Yeah, Robert, we've been talking this games
for a long time,
these sports for a long time, and you know me, and I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. In my opinion, sometimes sound crazy, but as far fetched and crazy as they sound, I always have some kind of foundation, and I always have some kind of meaning to what I'm trying to say. Is that these teams that win championships usually have a mix of players that are young, veterans, and then players that are hungry, right?
Yeah.
And if we
guys on contract years,
and if we look at the Chiefs and what they were able to accomplish last year,
nobody
had
a rookie cornerback and a rookie linebacker.
Nobody thought that defense was going to be strong enough to balance out that offense.
Yeah.
Right. And the offense had just lost one of the best wide receivers / utility players,
Tyreek Hill,
right? So, and so, that is not just coaching and GM moves. That is your youth stepping up and trying to get bigger and better contracts next year. So these teams that get older players, it's not a bad thing, but you have to pay for those older players. And when you expect them from them, sometimes you won't get.
Yeah.
And a team that's like that right now is Buffalo. So,
yeah. Well, I do like Kincaid. I thought Kincaid was a really good. Now, stay with the Giants here, man. You watch UT football. The steal of the draft may be Jalen Hyatt in the third round. I had him pegged as the second round guy.
Right. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out. He might be too brash and too young and too fast for Daniel Jones.
Okay.
And what I say about that is that you might see like a blow up, like an Antonio Brown / Roethlisberger, because
they had some good years before that blow up, though, man.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm not sure. Daniel Jones might be too passive for Hyatt, because Hendon Hooker was like, "You go, I'll find you," right? Yeah. If you see and and you hear about who Hendon Hooker was playing for UT, you heard that he was very vocal. He was a go-getter. He could run the ball if he needed to. He wasn't dependent on the wide receivers. He was just, and he would do what he had to do to make the offense work, right? That's not a Daniel Jones, man. That's not who he is at all. So I don't know if that mentality, if bringing it back is going to help Hendon Hooker, because he's with Daniel Jones, who's too passive aggressive.
Do you think that he takes another step in Brian DeBall's offense now that he's got Jalen Hyatt's very talented, man.
He's very talented, but again, you're talking about somebody who's going to demand the ball, somebody who wants to be running, somebody.
You think he's going to do that the first year in New York?
No, I if anything, he'll come out. And if I'm Hyatt, I'm like the first year. Don't try to break the bank. I'll try to pause and find out what my quarterback's about, because he's good. As soon as he steps in that practice field in the game field, he's gonna understand that Daniel Jones is a different type of quarterback. Yeah. So if you can't be something, you can't start a fire with just twigs and wood. You need some gasoline, and so again, I'm saying this, and I'm kind of like holding back. Daniel Jones and Hyatt are not just opposite; they're polar opposite.
Yeah,
there has to be someone like Saquon or one of those tight ends, somebody in that offense, not a coach, to try to reel in Hyatt and be like, "This is how we're going to play."
Well, Darren Waller's 30 years old, and if you can get 15 games out of Waller, it'd be a miracle.
I was going to say that. I was like, "Come on, man."
Waller hasn't room is what you're saying.
And another thing is Waller hasn't played with Daniel Jones either.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's gone from a quarterback that's Eager Beaver and Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Because Derek Carr he plays fast. He wants to play fast the first 2 quarters of the game. Then after that is when he starts pumping the brake because they want to like try to hold the lead and stuff like that. Schematics that don't work. Anyways, but and Daniel Jones. I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback, but what I'm saying is that the way he is will not make players better. Players just have to be good and do their job. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the more I think about it, they'd be a decent team next year.
Who, the Giants?
Yeah. With Jalen Hyatt back there, Jones, they've got Barkley. They played well last year, man. And they got Dexter Lawrence. They extended him today.
Yeah. Well, that's a good, so the key with the Giants is that their defense kept them in games.
Yeah.
And
that's a key piece, man. You didn't want to hold out there.
Right, and again, Giants won 3 or 4 games because the defense did an incredible job at the end of the
and good schemes and kind of gotcha plays.
So Wink, he knows defenses, and Wink is the man to try to win championships. His problem is he got a fortress full of just broken mirrors and just smoke on the other side. That's the problem. And Wink has had this problem many years with Baltimore. So they ain't nothing new to Wink, and he don't care at the end of the day as long as his defense is always right on the top. He gonna always find a job. So Daboll better be ready to do something. And I don't know, because he had brought in the same quarterback back. I don't know if that's gonna happen. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, any more thoughts on the draft recap, man?
So the Jets, they have on the other side of the AFC and the side of the other side of the Meadowlands, the Jets did a good job as far as getting pieces that they need to build depth. The fact that Aaron Rodgers stole the show before the draft,
right?
I think is helpful, because now that allowed them to make picks and do things, and everybody still focused on Aaron Rodgers being the new quarterback. And even right now, people are still excited and talking about it. They're and so but I feel, and I think that the Jets and the Giants might win one more game, still be in the playoffs, and only go out in the first round. The Jets might pick up three more games because Aaron Rodgers is there, and barely make the playoffs, and from there, that's right now. Those are my picks for the Jets and the Giants. And,
okay. Yeah. The Jets picked up an offensive tackle in the 4th round, but it was very early, man. It was like 112, pick 112. This guy named Carter Warren. That's a good depth pick. And the pick before that was a guy named Joe Tipman in the 2nd round at pick 43. Wisconsin's always had good offensive linemen. Those are some good players, man.
The biggest news is that Mekhi Becton
looks like he may be back. Yeah,
trying to come back, trying to get in the groove of things. If he's serious about being in the NFL, if he's serious about making some money, the Jets might be a little bit better than they were this year. And that will help Aaron Rodgers more than and the running and a running game. But if Mekhi Becton is not, that's just a loss for the Jets as far as last year's picks, as far as time, and also, man, when you had so much energy and you were so much determined to get this guy on the field, and then he comes back and he just doesn't do well, that energy level, man, it just crashes down, man.
And remember, he got hurt in training camp, didn't he?
He got hurt during preseason. Then he went back to training camp. And then he got hurt. Then it was just a bad move. The fact that the media was up on it, and the fact that their trainers and their coaches, and then they were not on the same page. It was just all bad for the Jets about Mekhi Becton, and the Jets need to avoid those kind of things. Don't say nothing. If you're gonna release, the information you release, to make it simple, quick, and that's it, So, but it's tough. It's New York, right? What they do. They like to dig and they like to throw things out there.
Like you said, they built depth, and the schedule comes out next week, man. I'm curious of who the Jets play.
I'm already
we'll talk about that next week if you want.
I'm already sweating. Oh goodness gracious!
I'm excited. I'm excited about the actual. We already know the opponents, but it's a big difference when you play a team that's really hot on a Sunday after a long Monday night road trip. You're a total disadvantage, or you could be at an advantage being the team that's playing at home. Say, for instance, say the Titans are playing the Chiefs, for example. Say the Chiefs on Monday night had to play the Jets on Monday night, right? Mm-hmm. So then they fly to New York, back to Kansas City. Then they play Tennessee noon the previous Sunday when Tennessee just played a normal Sunday game. That's a huge advantage for Tennessee, for example.
Yeah, they actually did that last year.
Right, a Charger team that's on the West Coast, or a Raider team.
Listen, the fans here in New York are excited about football. The Giants are trying to get Saquon back and on a deal, which I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is spending time with Sauce Gardner at the Knicks game.
He's hanging out at all the arenas.
Yeah,
man.
So he's been to Ranger games here, Aaron Rodgers. So he's living it up in here in Babylon, and we'll see what he can bring on the field. So but those Knicks,
yeah. Well, let's switch over to that. What's your thoughts on Knicks and Miami? Do they play tomorrow night at Miami?
Yeah,
I thought it was tomorrow night. I didn't think it was tonight.
No, tomorrow afternoon at 3:30.
Yes.
The 3:30.
All State, and then the Warriors play tomorrow at 7:30.
Yeah.
And of course tonight we'll have Denver in Denver. I want to say.
Yeah. So
they'll play. So what's your thoughts on that? I still think the Knicks, they should win this series.
Yeah,
but it looks like Miami, they got to work for everything against Miami, man. They're making them work.
The Miami team should have been ranked higher this year. They lost a few games at the end, and they lost a few games towards the middle of the season where they went on bad runs. They should have been ranked higher, but it is what it is, and they're in the playoffs now, and they have a balanced team, but very little depth, right?
Yeah. And they don't shoot the ball well consistently.
But they're athletic and fast, and so you can't play a running game on them. The half court set, they're too big. For the Knicks right now, they seem bigger. But the Knicks, the only thing that they need to do is stop trying to shoot the 3-point, because they've never been good shooting threes.
Right.
And they might have 2 or 3 players that are okay shooting the three, but they don't have no Steph Curry on a team that every shot goes up and goes in.
Right, right.
Even with Barrett, he should attack the basket more. He's out too much in the 3-point line. He needs to come back inside. They're leaving the 12 and 15 footers open. I don't know if they're too scared to shoot them because Miami's defense is set up in such a way that makes you kind of, want to go back towards the 3-point line instead of push the ball forward. Spoelstra does a great job coaching them and finding
unbelievable job by Spoelstra, man.
Yeah, and finding ways to get in your head. These are schemes, and these are design plays to get in your head. Not that they don't actually work. When the Knicks can look past that, they'll be all right. Whether Randall plays or not, I'm not worried about.
He had a great game the other night. Look, here's my theory. Do you think the last 2 games the Knicks were simply pressing because the buzz is so big up there? There's so many stars, man.
I think what it
even
is,
more than normal, and
they're a young team finally.
Yeah,
and they haven't been and done anything yet, and you want to show people that you're worth your weight
in gold.
Yeah, you worth your weight in gold. You want to show people. The problem is that your coach is not on the same level as you. That's the problem. It took him 2 years to get you on the court when you was already there. See, Tibbs had some of these players already a few years back. He's just now getting them in the mix of things.
Yeah.
And then another thing is that you have a player like Randall, and you had put him in the game so much. You had made him so much of an integral part of your starting lineup that it's become a mental lapse for some of these young kids to just forget about who's starting.
Right.
When they play fast, when they move the ball, they're running left to right, up and down. They're a great team to watch. They're better cohesive. When you take out the younger guys and put in the older guys, and the older guy being Randall, and you can see it's like a monkey wrench in the system, right? He wants to sit back there and get the ball, go one-on-one, try to shoot a three. I'm not saying that he won't make them. He might make a couple. You know, he's made his points, but he that's not Randall consistently. So that's the problem that Tibbs has, is that and he's gonna keep playing those core players 36, 40, 45 minutes. and that's no bueno. Like,
yeah, you know, I was reading about doing research on a program the other day, and to your defense, Karl Anthony Towns made the same comment, what you're saying, that he wears guys out, he plays the starters too long, and maybe he should dig into now that he has dug into the bench. Why doesn't he play Derrick Rose? Is there a problem with Derrick Rose now?
No, you can't play Fournier and Derrick Rose anymore right now. If you do
Ron
play
says,
him,
I think Brunson, Randall, and Butler are all in for tomorrow.
yeah, like if you place these two guys who are older than Randall, like they're in the top 30s, right? They're hitting mid 30s. They're topping peak. The problem is with these two guys on the court, you have to play a half court set. They're not going to run up and down with you. They're not. Yeah. You know, they're going to run, but they ain't going to go run up and down.
So you're thinking Rose would throw that chemistry off?
No. Again, you can run Rose and Fournier on your team. You can. They have experience. They can run set offenses, but you don't want to get stuck in a half court set, because what happens is that you take the focus from the young players and you're making them think, not react. And right now, the young group that they have is reactive. They're not thinking. If you start making them a thinking team as a whole, because Brunson's running all the thinking for them. Brunson's setting everything up. Everything's running through Brunson now. When you put Derrick Rose in there, you want to do that, but then what happens is there's no speed there. It comes a half court set right away. Okay. So there's no, there in the defense.
So that's what you think his school of thought is for not even activating Rose in these.
Yeah, I mean, unless you really need him to do that.
Yeah. Or it just seems like the Knicks go on these scoring droughts, man.
Okay, so if you put Derrick Rose in and he gives you 20 points and you still lose the game, whose fault is it?
Well, he's a guy I wouldn't play him for a lot of minutes. He's about like Westbrook. Maybe at the end of the second quarter, a few minutes into the third, yank him out, put Brunson back in,
but that's
rest
not
those guys up.
Again, Tibbs has problems with even playing who he has on the court at the moment. He'll take guys that are on a hot streak and put them in to get a rest. He'll take guys that are struggling and keep playing them until they get better. Like this is a problem.
Plays about 9 guys.
This is an issue that Tibbs has that he's never going to get over, because he don't listen to other people and he wants his system to work. This is why he will be a better college coach than he would be an NBA coach.
Well, you may have a point there. My whole thing was earlier this week, maybe they need to get like a assistant offensive coordinator to help him out.
I mean, if you look, you'll look at his face sometimes and he'll get flustered and frustrated on why Brunson.
Yeah, he does look frustrated.
You know, like why Brunson
loaded too, man.
How Brunson go on 10-point run and then all of a sudden he stops shooting, or they're scheming against him, and then he's just sitting there with his arms crossed, like why can't Brunson score 5 more points for me? Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
it's not you again. And I'm not taking nothing away from Brunson. Brunson's a great player, but once Brunson slows the game down and goes half court, goes one-on-one, takes out all these other players out, mind-wise, there's no reaction, that's where your slump happens. So all of a sudden, the coach is like, let me take Brunson out for a rest because he's not running. He's getting stuck in the one-on-one and half court. And that, again, that's where everything starts to shift. And
if you're not watching the players that play too much one-on-one, that's the teams that don't win big. Look at Golden State. Look at all their championships. They do a lot of fluid basketball, man.
and one of the reasons Dallas gave out Brunson was because they saw that there was
and Doncic were too ball centric.
Yes. So
true,
they were
true.
like, we can't have two guys like that. We can only have one. So
That's true.
They were willing to let Brunson go for that. And is that a mistake? Yeah, maybe. But
that's where they need to improve. I would agree 110% with that, man. So who do you? I still like Miami to win this series, or not Miami, New York to win this series because of their depth.
Remember, like when they won the last series. Remember, I told you like they're gonna win that one because they have more people on the bench that play. This one to me is gonna go to Game 7. This is a toss up. This is the
Miami. They're like Freddy Krueger, man. You just can't.
Yeah, you can. It's like that cockroach you stomp on and just kind of walk away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. I try to kill this cockroach. I'm like, man,
keep coming back, son.
He keep coming back. He hides, and you get you. Yeah, that's funny, man.
You know,
so
like
I'm on board with you. I think the Giants or the Knicks do win this, but they're somehow it's going to be in 6 games. You know, Miami's going to be playing with guys off the street that me and you've never heard of, and they're still going to be hanging in there. You're holding your breath. You know.
Here's the thing with the Knicks, and the Knicks will win in 6 if Quickly can be the Quickly he was before the playoffs and the first round of the playoffs.
Okay.
Which is a 6-man that comes in and scores you about 25 points. If he can do that and play defense, right? Because Quickly
that's Dave Harris's favorite player, by the way, Emmanuel Quickly. What an oddball player, Emmanuel Quickly.
You know who he reminds me of? And he reminds me like Jamal Crawford. Like go in there and you put him in, and all of a sudden the game changes, and you don't realize it. But you're the starting 5, and the other 6, and you didn't realize it. Jamal Crawford got like 2 3-pointers in a row. He stole the ball. All of a sudden, you made a 6-0 run. You kind of
he's a B12 shot to a team in a slump.
Yeah, you're getting right in it. They get you back right in.
Yeah, I remember Crawford played way up in his 30s too, man.
Crawford was not
like 37, 38.
I like the guy, but he really didn't do much in New York. But again, New York didn't have any coaching that would have.
You don't want to play him too long.
No.
He's a spurt guy.
Yeah.
So okay, switching gears. I'm really excited about this Laker Warrior series.
Oh, are you?
Dude, my prediction was Lakers in 6. What do you think about this series, man? Do the Lakers really have a chance? Most people are still picking the Warriors to win this thing.
I don't like these teams, either of these teams in the West, to be honest.
Well, you got to pick somebody for the particular series.
Yeah, no, but for this series, I think the Lakers are overmatched as far as the balance on the Golden State team is better.
Okay.
Than what the Lakers have.
Well, that's what I've been hearing from everybody.
Now, what I will say, and what we talked about, remember Embiid and Anthony Davis being the same player.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, he hasn't gotten hurt, and he's been better than Embiid in the playoffs so far.
Yes.
So
very good.
So my take on that is if Anthony Davis can average 30+ points a game, Golden State's not going over because there's no one stopping. There's no one stopping him.
Looney can't stay with him like he could Sabonis.
Right, and then and what's his name? He's already old. He's a little bit older, huh?
Draymond Green.
Yeah, Draymond is a little bit older. He don't have the wheels.
Yeah, he's 33 and he's playing like he's about 40 sometimes.
Yeah, and I like the first 20 minutes of the game because he's got energy and it's a good game. You know, they're grinding down there, they're throwing elbows, and then all of a sudden you see him just on the, wheezing, and then they take him out, and it's like a whole new game for the Warriors. It's like they get all excited, and Anthony Davis is there like, okay, I don't know if like who. How do I stay in the middle? Do I go out and play defense? And that's not good.
How about the defense from Jared Vanderbilt on Stephen Curry? Way better than I expected.
Yes, and I'm surprised the Lakers have been able to again be in this situation because of the balance of their team and their depth. But I will say this: they are fighting, and it's good to see fight. It's good to see Because I told you before this series started, I was like, man, two of the oldest teams against each other is like it's almost like watching, it's terrible to watch. It's terrible to watch, but this has actually been interesting to
The
watch.
last Sugar Ray Leonard fight. Who did he fight? Hearns? Or was it Haggard? Haggard.
Was Haggard, yeah. And it was like for the third or fourth time.
I think they fought like 3 times.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
Just like
the late Ali fights.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, for those games, I've been waiting to the end of the third quarter, and watching the fourth quarter only, because it just drags. You're like, in the commercial breaks.
And a lot of times, the team in the first quarter is not the team that wins.
No, not at all. So
I think the Lakers were leading last night a good chunk of the first half, and then obviously, Golden State pulls away. I tell you what, though, Lakers, Jared Vanderbilt, Hillbilly Kobe, Austin Reeves, Ryu Guy, D'Angelo Russell, every now and then, he's going to have a 25-point game. He might have one tomorrow night.
D. Russ is so...
Are they playing tonight? No, this is tomorrow. I can't wait, man. You're right.
They're so
the second game tomorrow.
So, I don't know, man.
I like that series, though. I think it's probably going 6. I still like the Lakers, but you probably like Golden State, right?
On this one, I think Golden State has more depth on, and the younger players are more cohesive. They're more cohesive unit,
Yeah. Well, Wiggins is going to do his thing, and Poole, you don't know what you're going to get, but Looney is really... I know he had he's not having a great series, but he's kind of in their unsung hero. The only reason they got past the Kings is his play on Sabonis. He getting them 21 rebounds the other night.
I will say this. Wiggins is the X factor.
Yeah. For them to put them over the top. Yeah.
If he does what he's supposed to do, he plays defense. And he doesn't get lost in the whole, what the Lakers try to do and hit you and have Anthony Davis block your shots. And he could just, if he doesn't have a shot, he can pass it. I don't know why he gets sometimes in this whole one-on-one mode where he needs to attack. That's one thing that he hasn't grown out of is when he's on one-on-one and attacking, he doesn't put the ball off fast enough. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I would imagine that you still like Denver over Phoenix. Chris Paul's hurt.
Oh my gosh!
I told you I predicted that, right?
We said this when the trade came in. Yeah. We said that
they won't survive. The fatigue will catch up with them.
We said that they're more likely to end up in the ER than to end up in the
or the IR or the ER for that matter.
So, and it's not a knock on them, but it is what it is. When you're older, you're not going to be able to be running like this.
I think the winner of the Lakers and Golden State team, they're going to be fatigued. Right. They're going to be banged up coming out of that series. And I think a Denver team's going to be rested. You're going to go up there playing that rarefied air. They're young. They're hungry. They're not too young where they don't have the experience. So it looks like Denver's going to make it to the finals. What's your thought about Boston and Philadelphia? That my thought is, no matter what happens in Boston, maybe they should move on. This guy's too young. This coach, Joe Mazzulla at Boston, man.
You think he's
34 years old?
You think he's as old?
Horford's 2 years older than he is, man.
I mean, look. The other day, Harden had one of those games, and it was good for him to do that.
Right.
But he ain't never, ever in any playoffs in his career come back and had dual games back to back. Right. So Philly get excited.
They're up by 5. For the record, they're up by 5 right now at Philadelphia. Philly Sports Guy's there, by the way.
Oh, yeah? I hope he has fun, man. I hope he has fun. I don't think that they can keep that going, man. They just and you know what? It's bad because Maxey is pulling so hard for that team to try to do things, and you see it, and his frustration sometimes. When the team is down by 8 points, he's just like, oh, I don't know what I can do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Harden's got 8, 5, and 5. You're right. If it's me in the offseason, I still think Boston will win this series. I'm putting more of a game plan around Maxey. I think he's old enough now. He's 22. He'll be 23 next year.
2 years ago, they should have done this.
Yeah, well, he's got 2 full years of playoff experience. I think he's ready, man.
Yeah, no, he's someone you can build a team around. Tobias, Harden, and Embiid, do something. Just get them off the team.
Yeah.
If you bring in a new coach, that's not going to help. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I like Doc Rivers as a player.
Jamie says he likes the way he's coached this playoff so far.
This is the first time that I've seen on some of these games that they're listening to Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Because last year and the year before when he got there, nobody was listening to anybody. They was just playing basketball.
Right.
And you saw the frustration on everybody's face. But now you see the frustration on the younger players' face when Embiid is hurt or he's on and off the court. They can't give him the ball. When Tobias is cold, they just looking at him like, right, attack the basket, bro. When Harden just dribbling in circles one-on-one, you see the 3 young players is looking around like, when are we
I hate it when he does that.
So I think that the 76ers, if they don't win this year, that's it. They pull it.
They'll do something there. So, okay. So Memphis says, Dylan Brooks, we don't want you back.
I'll take him on the next.
Be a free agent. Tell me what you explain to the audience what you sent to me. You think maybe he'd be a good fit in New York?
Now, listen, I know people are going to be like, oh, and they're not going to like my take, or maybe they will. I don't know. So I said to you when Memphis stated that they were not going to bring back Brooks.
I don't know why it strikes me as funny. I guess because he got too many texts. That's too many texts.
I said this. I would give Randall up, and I would take Brooks because he's older.
Yes. Well, Brooks is younger.
Yeah, he's older, and you already know what you're going to get from him. Yep. With Brooks, you can push him more, and the team's already young, so you're going to still get like that toughness that you want.
Yes.
But then you'll be able. Brooks is smart. He's a decent shooter, and you would probably get more out of him than you got out of Randall the last 2 seasons.
Well, Brooks at one point about 2 years ago, his point was I wanted to be used more offensively,
right?
And his stats went down to 11 points a game at one point. Now a few years ago it was up to 18 and 11. So he's a pretty decent all-around player. Very good defender, little chippy to say the least. I think he would fit in really good with the New York team.
Yeah, so and I even sent you a lineup, right? I said
yeah.
If you put Brooks in there with Barrett, with Brunson, and Richmond
Hart and Randall and Robertson,
and No, well, if you don't have Randall, whatever. But
with Robertson.
Yeah, with Robertson, like you have a decent core there. And again, people, Knicks fans, and if they hear me, I don't have nothing against Randall.
He would fit the culture, but he's used to playing hard.
My thing is this: is that the Knicks and Tibbs have given Randall all the opportunity to be not just an all-star, but to be the star in New York. Yeah. And he hasn't grasped it. And
you don't think you could fit both of those guys in that team, or you would have to do away with Randall?
You got to. The problem is that Tibbs, again, he gave too many minutes to Randall during the season.
Okay.
And as many minutes as he gave Randall, Randall was in the top 10 in scoring, but he should have been the top player in scoring if that's what you're paying him for.
Yeah.
And it's not what you're getting out of him, and that's okay. I'm not extremely mad, but I do get frustrated when people are like, oh, well, he's the best player on the team. No, he was given the most minutes on the team. Therefore, he has the more stats on the team because he played those minutes, but he hasn't given us his best. We haven't seen the best. In fact, Randall, the best season he's ever had was with LA. I believe the 3rd or 4th season, and he gave LA his best on both sides of the court. And we haven't seen that Randall. We see him sporadically, and he's not consistent.
Sporadically, yeah.
Right, and he's not consistent. So we know he's not consistent. We know he's already peaking, and we know he's an all-star. He's kind of an all-star, but all those things happen because he was given the opportunity with all the minutes, right? Like if you give RJ Barrett the minutes that you took away from him and you went to Randall, if you give him those minutes as a younger player, he needs to be averaging 22, 25 points a game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
So,
How about the Kings taking Dylan Brooks to help offset a Draymond Green and a rival a Warrior team next year? They can use a guy like Brooks.
I will say one thing. If Brooks comes to the East,
To the West.
no. If he goes to the East,
Oh, okay.
The coaching and the right now the structure that they have, he would be more of a defensive player. Now, if he stays out West, he's probably more likely to be an offensive player with defensive capabilities. Because a lot of those teams out there are running and they have a different style than in the East, right? You know, like if he goes to like a Detroit or Orlando.
Memphis is kind of like an Eastern Conference team, ain't they?
Well, I think
they're tough. They play defense. They're chippy. They're like Detroit.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is that you still don't know what you can get out of Brooks. That's the biggest like enticement, like because he's young and you're like, what other players you can surround him what can you get out of him? But with Randall, you already know you surrounded him with so many players. You already know what you can get out of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are going to have a lot of options next year, this summer. And, you know, they need some more scoring from that wing spot. You want to get the right fit, though. If you're going to keep Tibbs, you want to get that right fit. I know you don't like Tibbs, you know.
I like him. He's a great coach. Everybody says that.
He just needs he needs to alter his style a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, he just needs to go to just coach college. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with wanting to go because his style from the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s regime, that style of, you know, grinding out, that's a college mentality if you think about it, you know?
Well, you have to have a deep bench if you're going to play that. And you, like I said, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns said that he wore us out, but hey, you know, you're about to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
It didn't. If you think about it, it didn't really
maybe
it didn't even really make him better, right? He played him all the minutes, and it didn't make Towns better. It just gave him stats.
Well, I remember I told you that then the reason why that didn't work is he was in charge of player personnel because Minnesota was desperate for a coach. He had too much on his plate. Kind of like the guy that you took over for Boston. What was his name? For Kentucky, Rick Pitino.
Yeah, but again, I mean,
yeah, he couldn't.
Tibbs had Butler on his team. He had a lot of
players, but he was in charge of player person. He couldn't do both, man. Most coaches can't.
Nah, man, no. I mean,
I don't know if any coach is very successful. I know Jimmy Johnson was successful in NFL doing that.
Yeah, and that Bucks coach got let go. He can't, you know, what was he gonna do?
Now Budenholzer, I was saying this yesterday on the program, he was on verge of getting fired before they went on that run 2 years ago. They won the championship, so they bought him some time, but they have underachieved years. You shouldn't lose like that to an 8 seed. But 2 years leading up that championship, they really underachieved. That was a thought behind that. Plus, they're an older team. You know, Lopez is way long in the tooth, man.
Yeah, and then listen, they even though you have the best player and one of the best players in the league.
Oh, I think he's the best, Giannis.
It doesn't take an accountability that you that you got to win games, man. At the end of the day, you got to win games, and you got to win the ones that are important. You got
that's
there,
the playoff games, and you got to move multiple rounds. Hey, man, we're out of time. Hey, I appreciate it. Do you need to plug anything?
Yo, just right now, it's been a busy time. I'm looking to get things going, but you can catch me Friday mornings with Keith Engel and Are You Serious? I'm here every night, Friday night with you at 8 o'clock.
I love this, too.
I'm on 8 and 8, guys. 88 is my numbers right now. So,
all right, Irvin.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin, baby. Playmaker.
Yeah. So happy Friday, people. Have a great time watching sports. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. I was telling my man Tempo here. I don't know if you've seen it. I've got a new intro. Now I got to get the outro. So I'm looking for some good techno music to outro you up to.
Yeah.
Praise you like I should, maybe. I don't know.
Moby. Oh. I don't know.
Have a good one, man. Hey, I'll see you
think-
next week. Just text me, I guess.
Yeah, you know I'll be texting you on these games.
All right, yeah, especially if the Knicks are screwing things up.
I'll text you when they win.
All right. We'll find out tomorrow.
All right, let's do
See ya,
this,
man.
Diggs.
Thanks.